okay. Um, Carvid, because I think my roommate might be home and asleep, so I don't want to be talking at 2:30 in the morning when she's asleep. Um, but I wanted to get this done tonight because it just was an unusual thing that happened. Um, Something that I don't do and would probably never really do in any normal circumstance. But I guess there's a first for everything. The weird thing that I did tonight was tell a stranger that my dad was dead. We went out tonight, a bunch of people after work. We went over to this place called the Long Room because my friend and coworker and manager Danny was having a kind of a 30th birthday gathering there. And I was trying to look at wherever this fucking is. This is where the camera is. Okay, try to look over there. He was having a 30th birthday gathering there, and we had the night, and I forgot, such a thing as last call existed, and we got, had to leave, and we were walking out the door. Sidebar: whenever I see old money at Second City or anywhere, I always, if I can afford it, I always replace it with my own money, and then I keep it, like old 20s and old 10s and old 5s. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, they're cool, they're old, they're pretty. Like, I know all the new money is like, fancy and more like Europe and all of that, but the old money, there's just something way more artistic about it and way more, I don't know, I think it's pretty, and I think it has way more historical value to it, and it just looks nicer. And I wonder what happened. I have oh, here we go. So I save it. I replace my money with the money in the drawer. For instance, if you don't know what I'm talking about, like, here's an old 10. It's backwards to you, but, like, look at that. That's, like, amazing. Look at how gorgeous that looks compared to, like, if you pull out a 10 in your wallet right now. Like, this just looks like choice. You know what I'm saying? So, I say that. And in my checkbook right now, yes, I still have a checkbook. I have an old 10, an old 5, and an old 20. And as we were leaving the bar, I saw this guy. He was by himself at the end of the bar, and he had on this hat, this yellow, you know me, I like wearing hats anyway. And he had on this hat, and it was a bright yellow. First of all, it was the kind of hat I like to wear anyway, like a knit cap. Had a pom-pom, and it was a cat hat. Caterpillar hat. And that's what my dad used to drive, like use heavy machinery, bulldozers mostly, but like backhoes and stuff. Like, he had a key on his key ring that my mom kept. A cat key. Like, he would joke, we would drive past him and he would say, like, oh yeah, I could like start that dozer right now. I always thought it was like the most ridiculous thing to say. Like, would you? Could you? Wouldn't that you be arrested? Like, I don't know, just crazy shit, for at least for trespassing probably. So I see this guy with this hat, and this is the other thing. It's like an old school, as I'm kind of spoilering this right now. It's an old school logo hat. Like, Cat has a different logo now. It's a little bit more updated. The font is a little bit more updated than this logo right here. And I'm like, where did you get that hat? And he says, from Cat. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, where did you buy it? And he's like, I think he might have even said online or something. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, from the website? Because I'm thinking, like, I have to get one of these. Like, maybe Cat did like a throwback retro thing and they put it on their website. He's like, no. He like reneges instantly. And he's like, no, actually I got it at Goodwill. I'm like, fuck. So that's it. I know exactly what I'm going to offer this guy. I'm going to offer him my old 20. I pull it out. I'm already getting it out of my fucking checkbook. I pull it out and I'm like, see this old 20? I'm like, see how gorgeous it is and beautiful it is? And he's like, yeah. Oh, P.S. Previous to this, he had a little conversation with my friend Caitlin. Like, I could tell that they knew each other from like Second City and they talked a little shop. So I'm like, okay, old 20. I'm like, see how gorgeous this is? Like, see how awesome this is? And he's like, yeah. And I said, here. I'm like, I want your hat. I'm like, you can have this old 20 right now for your hat. And he's like, no, like he could tell, like he was not giving up this hat. And then I did it. I just like laid it out. I dropped the bomb. I fucking dropped the mic. I was like, here's the deal. My dad died of cancer in October. And he used to run heavy machinery. Like he ran Caterpillars. And I just really want that hat. And then he says to me, I'm like, fuck, like who would lie about this? He's like, are you serious? He's like, are you doing a bit right now? I'm like, a bit? I'm like, no. I'm like, I would not lie. I mean, like, I was like dead. I'm like, no. I'm like, I would never lie to you about something like that. I'm like, never. I would never lie to you about my dad being dead. And he's like, you're not doing a bit. I'm like, no. I'm like, I would never lie to you about that. He's like, do you know these people right there? And he like, my friends were kind of leaving because we were leaving. And he's like, do you know any of these people right there? I'm like, yeah, I know all of them. And he's like, would they vouch for this? I'm like, yeah, they would vouch for it. I mean, like, shit. Like, I was gone all summer and, like, you know what I mean? Like, they all knew my dad fucking died. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, do you know Caitlin? I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, she'd vouch for this? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, hey, guys. And they're like, kind of turn around. I'm like, Caitlin. And she looks and I'm like, hey, is this true that my dad died of cancer? They're all like, yeah, that's true. And I'm just like, what? Like, why? I don't know. That's fucked up if you would lie about something like that, but I wouldn't. And he's like, oh. He's like, here you go. And hands me the hat. I handed him the 20. I told him that was the deal. So I don't know. Like, whatever. I don't feel bad about that. Like, that I gave him the 20. But I took the hat, and then I kind of almost, and then this other guy, he said something to me before this that I didn't hear because I was too busy, like, focusing on this other guy, whose name is Jack, who is very nice and good looking to boot, I'll be honest with you. This other guy said something to me before this that I didn't hear. And then he said something else to me, and then I said this, I was like, ooh, I got a little ballsy. I said, well, I'm like, oh, he said something about his hat. Like, he was trying to, like, kind of, like, wingman / not wingman for me, but, like, wingman cock block for this guy's hat. And I was like, I have a dead dad. I couldn't even believe I fucking said that. And he's like, well, I do too. Or he goes, welcome to the club. And I wanted to be like, oh, okay, are we going to do this? Like, fine. I guess I'm a D-bag because I said I had a dead dad. And then Jack was like, he's doing bits. He's doing bits right now. And I'm like, is this guy doing bits? I'm like, are you doing bits about having a dead dad? Because I don't particularly find it super funny. Like, I don't know, like, I laugh about my dad a lot and I smile about my dad a lot. And I'll make jokes to you about my dad. Like, I will. Like, I'll tell you jokes about him taking shits off of his bulldozer, like him telling me stories about that. That's funny to me. I'll tell you stories about that, but I won't make jokes about my dad being dead. Like, I'm not going to lie to you or do a bit about that. Like, that's kind of weird to me. But I have this hat now. I have this yellow fucking hat. Part of me is almost afraid to wear it. First of all, this thing I think is fucking huge. Part of me is almost afraid to wear it because I don't want to lose it now that I have it. But I kind of have to wear it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get it to not wear it. Like, I have to wear this. Look at this. It's a cat hat. It's great. So, look at it. It's got a pom-pom. Thanks to Jack for being a good person and realizing how much this meant to me. And I told him I hoped I would see him around at Second City. And I do. I hope I see him around. I'll buy him a beer. And, cat hat. And, yeah, this is fucking awesome. And, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. So that's my story about the weirdness of tonight at the very end, and hopefully connecting with another human being about the cycle of life and bulldozers.